Hello curl friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jody and it's great to have you join me today. Today we are doing an Influenced by the Influencer video and I am following one of Gena Marie's curly hair routines. This routine is supposed to focus on volume and definition featuring the Curlsmith products, and I love volume and definition, and I happen to have a lot of the Curlsmith products that she uses. So this routine though, I do want to say I'm not following it completely, like 100%, and there are sections that I'm going to skip over just based on my discretion that I feel like maybe aren't necessarily as important for me getting the look. I'll explain as we go. One example though is the diffusing part. She gives a lot of information there as she's diffusing, and it's very helpful. I'll leave her video linked down below, and I'll also leave a link to her website or her blog post, and so you can get more information there if you'd like to. But for the sake of this video and how I'm trying to keep it more concise, I don't really think that we need to focus on the diffusing part. Just know that I will diffuse my hair. All that to say though, I am excited to begin this curly routine focusing on definition, max definition as she says, and volume. So yes please, those are both things that I love, and sometimes it's hard to get both to really work together to the best potential. So that's what we're going to try to work on with this routine. So at this point, let's begin watching her video, and like I said, I'm going to pause it at times and comment on it.
Are you looking to get both volume and definition in your curls? Well, this combo is said to be one of the most difficult looks to achieve with naturally curly hair, but I'm going to share with you all of my best tips and tricks for achieving both volume and definition throughout this step-by-step styling routine. And I have low density hair, so I definitely know a thing or two about struggling with volume and fullness in my hair. I also wanted to thank Curlsmith, one of my all-time favorite brands, for partnering with me for this video. We are going to be trying out a new Curlsmith combo. All of their products mix and match really well, so you can really customize the look that you're going for. And make sure you stay tuned for step number 5, because it is the key for reducing stringiness and achieving more clumped curls.
Volume and definition can be hard to achieve together, as she said, because if your curls are very defined, meaning your curls are really clumped, if you have lower density hair, even medium density hair, because I believe I have more like the medium density hair, if your hair is longer, a lot of times it can weigh down on your volume. So my hair is significantly longer than hers is, so that will be a factor that may play in. We'll see how that works out. But all that to say, if you have those factors, lower density to medium density, and your curls are fine, a lot of times that can play into a factor. If you have really what they call silky roots, your roots are just like there's not a lot of texture up there, that can play a part into how your hair lies. Not everybody can easily achieve volume, especially when, like I said, your curls are defined. Now if you have volume, a lot of times for my sake, if I have volume, a lot of times that means my curls are piecier, they're smaller, which allows them to spread apart more rather than the bigger curl clumps that are juicier. But if they're piecier, then I can get some more volume. Also, it oftentimes means that I have more frizz, and frizz does not go with definition necessarily. So that is why the two have a hard time working together a lot of times. And then she also mentioned about Curlsmith products. So like I said before, I have all the Curlsmith products. She said they pair very well together, and I agree with that. I haven't had an issue with mixing and matching the Curlsmith lines and creating different routines, but this is one of those routines that I haven't done before, so I'm curious to see what we're going to get.
I've already shampooed and conditioned my hair. I used the Curlsmith Frizz shampoo and duo conditioner. I'm actually leaving a little bit of that duo conditioner in my hair after I rinse it out, just for some added moisture. It's a multi-purpose product, so you can use it as a rinse out conditioner or a leave-in conditioner. It contains a combo of blackcurrant seed oil, coconut butter, omega-3, 6 and 9, and this formula is designed to smooth the cuticle and provide more slip for detangling and to help smooth frizz. So totally optional step, but I just wanted to let you know that I do have a little bit of it still in my hair from when I washed.
So she mentioned what she washed with, and I went in with the same wash day products. I love this Frizz Control cleanser. This is great. I love the lather that it gives. It's not stripping, but just gives a good overall everyday kind of cleanse. And then I went in with this Frizz Control Duo Conditioner, and it's actually been a while since I've used these together. And once again, I'm reminded how much I love this as a rinse out conditioner. You can use it multiple ways. You can use it as a rinse out, as she said, or you can leave some of it in. Now, I rinsed mine entirely out. I do want to say it gives great slip for detangling. Fantastic. My hair came out that perfect feeling of like just right condition, not over conditioned where it's like seaweedy type feeling, and it's just right. Like I love the way my hair feels after using this. But anyways, I was saying I did not leave this in my hair because I did a wash now, style later. I washed my hair last night, so it would be a little bit easier for me in preparation for styling my hair today. I just flipped my head over the tub just a few minutes ago and got my hair wet again. So none of this is in my hair at this point, and so I'm going to go back in with a little bit more. And to be truthfully honest, she said that she left some of it in her hair, but then she also showed herself applying some more. So I don't know if it was a combination of both things that she did, or if that was just for like the viewer's sake of seeing it done. But we are just going to go in with just a little bit here. I don't want to go in with too much because the gel that we are going to be using, the Frizz Rescue Curl Retainer, that one is kind of moisturizing, and I don't want to weigh my curls down. So we're going to start out with this amount. If I feel like I need to use some more, then, you know, by all means I will. So this is what it's looking like on my hands, a slight white cast, and this has a very fruity scent to it, like a kind of like a watermelon Jolly Rancher. I'm not a Jolly Rancher type of person, but from what I remember, this kind of has that scent to it. And I absolutely love it. It's not too strong in my opinion. So I know I am going to have to go through and re-wet my hair too, closer to the brush styling portion. I can just feel my hair drying out, but she does talk further on in this video about how much water to have in your hair and how much not to have in your hair.
So now that we have a smooth base for styling, our first step of the styling routine is to apply our styling products to wet hair. So you want to make sure that your hair has the right amount of water in it. The more water that's in your hair, the more defined and the more clumped that your curls will be, but the less volume that you will have. And the more dry that your hair is, so if it's more on the damp side versus soaking wet, the more volume that you will have with a little bit more frizz, and you can get more stringiness. Make sure you stay tuned for step number 5 because it's a really easy way to achieve better clumps and prevent stringiness. So I like a balance of both. So I achieve this by towel drying my hair first to soak up the excess water at the root, and then I mist the links of my hair so that way they're evenly wet. It's not dripping or soaking my shirt.
Okay, so Gena Marie talks about how much water to have in your hair, and she says the more water that you have in the hair, the more clumped your curls will be, which is great. But then we also have to think about the volume. If you don't have very much water in your hair though, your hair can tend to be stringy. And I am one of those people that is very much the case for. If I don't have almost soaking wet hair, almost dripping wet, then my curls can easily become stringy. And so I have to apply a lot of water. Everybody's a little bit different. You have to play around and find your sweet spot, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to try to keep it as similar to hers as possible. We're not going to try to soak the root, although you do see me spraying up there because my hair does dry out very fast. And that is another thing that is going to play a factor in how fast your hair dries out based on how much water you have to keep adding to your hair. So maybe I did get a little too dripping wet. Let me pad some of that out. I have a t-shirt towel here that I used after re-wetting my hair. I'm just going to take a little bit of that water out because she is dripping just a little bit, and that's not what Gena Marie did or had. Her hair was soaking wet. It was fully wet, I should say, but it wasn't dripping. So, and I'm trying to leave my roots, trying to keep those from getting as soaking as the mid shaft and lengths of my hair are. Okay, just a little bit down here at the end. You can't really see that. I'm sorry, my hair gets out of the view finder. It's just because it's so long. And as I said, I may have to go in at other times of the styling process and re-wet my hair a little bit just to keep it at that perfect type of moisture balance. So let's continue on and see what else she does for her routine.
So this step is totally optional, but if you really want to amp up the volume in your hair, you can apply a specific volumizing product. So some people like to use foams like the Curlsmith Bouncy Strength Volume Foam or texturizing sprays, but I actually prefer the Curlsmith Volumizing Lotion because I can really see a difference in the fullness in my hair when I use this. It's not drying, it's very lightweight. You could even use this just as your first base product if you have very fine hair because it is moisturizing. It's kind of like a milky product, but its main goal is to add volume and plumpness to the hair. but you could just start with this product and not use any leave-in conditioner underneath. It really helps to create that fullness within the hair strands themselves. If you're using something like a foam, you can definitely focus that on your root area to create a little bit more grit.
Okay, so she showed two products that you can use. The Curlsmith Volume Lotion, I forget the exact title, even though I just watched it, and this Bouncy Strength Volume Foam. I am going to go in with this one for two reasons. One, I never cared much for the volume lotion. I just didn't see it doing anything. I reviewed it when it first came out, and I didn't see any volume. I didn't see any enhancement. And if that's one of the claims of the product, I have a hard time seeing myself putting it in my routine if I'm not seeing results. So I have loved this. Oh, the other reason why I'm not using it is because I don't have it. I returned it to Ulta after trying it a couple times and not liking my results. So I have this and I love it, and so we are going to be using this. Now, since she didn't use this one, I don't know exactly how much she would recommend. So we're just going to start out with 2 pumps here. And normally this is something that I would apply a little bit later in my routine. Although this one this foam, I have found that I can use it earlier on in the routine as well. We're just going to try to get all over. You'll notice that she brush styles her products in. She did that for the leave-in. She did that for her volume lotion. So that is what we are going to do as well. I'm raking it through though, just trying to distribute it with my hand somewhat and get all the product off of my hand before I go in with the brush. I honestly feel like 2 pumps feels good. I probably could go in with a little bit more, but there's still 2 other products that need to go, and I just don't want to apply too much to my hair. I think maybe the last product I might go in a little heavier with. We'll see how my hair feels at that point. I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself.
So another optional step, I'm applying a moisturizing base styler. So you typically will see me use a curl cream, but I wanted to try layering gel. So I'm actually going to be using 2 gels. Well, this is more of a jelly styler. So your base product can be in the form of a leave-in conditioner, a styling cream, or a light hold gel. So if your hair is very fine and doesn't need much moisture, you can totally skip this step and go straight to your stronger hold gel. I've been experimenting with the Frizz Free Rescue Curl Retainer, which is actually more of a gel, but I still find it to be very moisturizing due to the oil content, and it provides a soft hold. So that's why I like to layer it with other gels, because my hair needs a little bit more hold. I'm usually a 1 to 2 styler max type of girl, but people really like this layering technique with using more than one styling product to achieve max definition and volume. So I wanted to try it out. But in general, you want to start with the lightest hold product first and then follow with the strongest hold product. So the curl retainer contains a tri-oil blend of sunflower seed, watermelon seed, and argan oil. It's said to help in humidity as well by providing an invisible coating on the hair. If you're someone who doesn't want crunchy curls, but you want a lot of definition, this is definitely what I would go with. You still get some control in your curls, but they won't have a cast on them or appear wet when they're dried.
Okay, so one of the things that she talks about that she brings up several times in this is to go in with your lightest hold product first, use that as your base, and then go in with your hardest hold at the end. Now, the 2 gels that we'll be using in this routine are the Frizz Rescue Curl Retainer, and then we'll also be using the Shape Up Aqua Gel. So these are the 2 gels, and these are labeled with hold. Like the Curl Retainer is given a level 6 hold, and the Shape Up Aqua is given a level 5 hold. My personal opinion, Curlsmith labeling isn't always exactly correct. It varies based on the person, based on your hair type, I think, to some extent. And in my opinion, though, this one does give more hold than the Aqua Gel. But I have been playing around with the Aqua Gel a little bit more often as a topper, and I have enjoyed that. But I think this one is more of the muscle of the hold out of these 2. But we're going to go in with this. I think this is, she calls this a jelly-like consistency. I think of it almost like a cream gel-like consistency. It's been a while since I have used this one, and I need to shake it down. Okay, there we go. This is what that looks like in the consistency. It is still very gel-like. There is a bit of hold in there, and you can see some of that, I always call it like a snotty type look, but literally that's what it reminds me of. I need to find a better word to describe that. I apologize. So I'm going to rake this all through. And then she goes in, well, maybe I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself here. she applies this. Normally I would like to kind of brush this through and distribute it. But we're going to hold off on that for a minute. It's killing me. I want to, but we're going to hold off on that for a minute here. I just want to try to distribute that as well as I can with my fingers. Maybe smooth some of that over a little bit. I think I'm going to have to go in with a little bit more water here too very soon. I can just feel my hair kind of drying out. It's not drying out as fast because I do have product in it at this point, but I do think I'm going to have to go in with a little bit more water.
Step number 4 is probably the most important styling product, and that is to apply a gel. I'm using the Curlsmith Shape Up Aqua Gel, which has become one of my favorite gels of Curlsmith because it has that lightweight, liquidy texture that I love. It contains moisturizing ingredients, so you could even use this as a single styler by itself. That would be great if you had very fine hair, but I'm layering it to try out this combination to try and get definition and volume. So this provides a light to medium hold, which will give you that definition that we're going for and longevity. So usually you will see me use a strong hold gel for the most frizz and humidity protection, but the stronger your hold is in your gel, usually the less volume and fullness that you will get. If your hair has ever looked crunchy and really piecey, it was likely a little bit more see-through and maybe was lacking volume. So to still get good hold out of this, I recommend applying it liberally in sections for maximum coverage. You can apply it before you brush style for extra definition. This gel has a ton of slips, so it's easy to style with a brush or to finger coil with it already in your hair.
Okay, Gena Marie makes an excellent point. The stronger your hold is, oftentimes the less volume that you will have. And so I consider both of these gels, I've said before, not to be the strongest hold. I would say this one probably, I know it's labeled 6, and I did say that this one was stronger, but I feel like this one's probably, in my hair, from my experience of it, is more of a medium to soft hold. And in my experience, this one has been a soft hold. I don't see any medium out of it. But with brush styling in, I hope I get a little bit more control, but still, because it's so lightweight, get that volume. That's the hope. That's the goal. Okay, so we are going to go in with this Aqua Gel, and I'm using it in smaller sections. By the way, I did section up my hair. I took some time to do that off camera. And I had to do one extra section than she did, just due to the density of my hair compared to hers. But we are not going to try to go in too heavy at this point. I'm trying to remember if did she go in and use a little bit more afterwards? I'm not fully sure. Sometimes I wonder about my memory here, but with us brush styling it through, let's see how it does. I do think I want to go in with a little bit more. I do think I am going to be a little bit more liberal in my application. So just a little pea-sized amount. And we're going to brush that through. I'm going to go through each of the sections and do this.
Step number 5 is probably the most important, and that is styling. So styling techniques are what give you control over how your curls are going to turn out. If I skip styling and I go straight to diffusing, my curls end up very stringy and flat. So you can style by using a brush or just use your hands with various techniques. Brushes help to smooth frizz and clump the hairs together, which is great for definition, but it can reduce your volume. I either will use a wide tooth comb or just my fingers to separate any thick curl clumps that are created by the brush. Usually you will see me kind of lean to the side so that way I can actually see the thickness of my individual curl clumps. So you need a brush to give some of that tension to actually define the curls. You can press your hand against it for even more tension, but just be very gentle. You don't want to overdo it with brush styling, and make sure your hair has plenty of slip. I would avoid brush styling if you are really struggling with your hair falling out or if you have very fragile, weak hair. I also like to do some finger coiling when I'm styling, so this is great for people who naturally have very small curl clumps, or if your curls are stubborn and they often change direction or they turn out very wonky. This can just help to encourage them to go in the right direction. A lot of times I will do this around like face framing pieces or any of the short baby hairs that aren't easily caught in the brush.
Okay, so as she had said, I was getting ready to incorporate step 4 and 5 all together. So I am going to, my hair has dried out just a little bit since then. I am going to brush style my hair. I'm also going to be applying this gel section by section, brush styling it in section by section. And I already see an issue here. My next section is wanting to sag. It's going to snag in this lowest one if I'm not careful. Now I'm going to get up close and a little personal here off towards the front seat of my chair, so I don't know how much of me is going to be in frame for you guys, but I have to do that because my hair is just so long that I'm hitting the wall here behind me if I don't. And so this, if you know me lately, this is not how I technically brush style, like how I section my hair. But we're gonna make it work. I'm still gonna kind of do the same thing, but I don't usually do like this horizontal sectioning. I usually do more, I do it horizontal, but I do it in a different form. I guess vertical sections this way. In the back, I do 3 sections this way, 2 on the side, 1 in the back, and then I will go through those sections, do smaller subsections horizontally. And so that's kind of still, I guess, what I'm doing, just in a little different format. And at this point, I don't feel hardly any hold, folks. I don't feel any hold. She goes through and shakes up some of her curl clumps, she said, or with her fingers, and I don't feel like I need to on that section. I don't feel like I need to. I think at this point I'm just going to kind of fast forward through this part here because I'm going to be doing the same thing. Oh, another thing, before I do fast forward, I'm going to have to split these in 2 to be able to apply the gel. But another thing that's different is that I am using I am using the Tangle Teaser to style with, whereas normally I use my Bounce Curl brush to style with. I still use my Tangle Teaser a lot to like apply and distribute product, but in this case I'm using it to style with, and that's okay. I've done it before in the past. It's not my favorite now just because I love the Bounce Curl brush so much, but I've done this before. I think it is a decent brush for styling with. I just like the juiciness and control that the Bounce Curl brush gives me. This video that Gena Marie put out, by the way, it was done in February of 2024, I believe. But anyways, like I said, we're just trying to do what she's doing. Now I'm going to have to go into these subsections because, as I said, my hair dries out pretty fast, and we're going to wet this down again, because if I don't, my curls will not clump. Really, it will be stringy, as she mentioned. And I'm going to take several passes just to distribute the product after applying it, and then I will work on the brush styling section, or brush styling these portions. And I think I am now at this point just going to fast forward because this is going to all be the same up into the top section. Okay guys, I didn't really want to do this way. I don't like sectioning my hair this way because I feel like my hair gets, when I do it in these type of sections, I feel like my hair gets snagged and I'm not able to focus the brush where I want it as well. And so I am going to make the executive decision. I said that I was going to follow this routine closely, but it wasn't going to be an exact duplicate because based on some of the products I didn't have, and our diffusing style is very similar, but it's a little bit different. So I am going to make the executive decision to do what's best for my curls and even this routine, and section my hair out how I like to section it. So I know I brush styled this, but we're gonna rebrush style this, okay? I am just not happy with how things are going. Okay, I've gone through the bottom section of my brush styling, redoing that. And I apologize for that, but I feel like this is going to be the best thing for my hair and for the style in general. So if you want to see more of my brush styling routine, I would encourage you to check out my curl mix video. I did kind of talk about it a little bit more in that video. And so let's continue on with this top section. Actually, let's continue on watching what she does, because she does do things a little bit differently for the top section than I do, and I think I could still work with her her routine on this one. Kind of. There will be a modification here, actually, now that I think about it. There will be a modification. But let's just watch what she does while I have my hair hanging in my face.
Also, the way that you part your hair will make the biggest difference in your root volume. So I like to avoid my part going all the way back too far. Like my part tends to extend down the back of my hair and creates a lot of separation. So instead I will section the top section in half, and then taking the back half, I will direct that up and back all at once to help better cover my scalp and any cowlick areas. For the front section, I usually will brush it straight up and then see where it's naturally going to separate, which is typically where you wear your part all the time if you do wear the same part every day. I like to let it just fall naturally into its part, and so that way I can ensure the hairs are clumped into the right curl family. If I have random pieces of hair that are on the wrong side, it will usually end up frizzy and stringy if those hairs don't naturally go together. So this really helps me just ensure that the clumps are going to turn out evenly. I do more precise brush styling in the front section, wrapping the hair right at the root around the brush handle. So this brush coiling technique is good for really stubborn areas. And this also helps to tuck in my grays, which are in this section of my hair. And again, I'm going through and separating any of those thick curl clumps to create more volume and fullness. So I usually will pay attention to where they're grouping naturally and separate them with my fingers and kind of finger coil them into the right groups, just where they're naturally grouping together. You don't want to kind of force them in different directions, or else your hair might not clump very good. So I prefer these smaller curl clumps versus one big chunky curl clump. I also like to allow my front pieces to fall more forward, which gives the appearance of more volume in your hair when you have those pieces coming around and framing your face. So the curls on my front section actually do curl towards my face. Even if your curls curl away from the face, you can direct them a little bit more forward to give the illusion of more volume, but your hair might fall in your face a little bit more. So that's the one downside to kind of directing the hair forward in the front.
Okay, so we do a similar brush styling. I tend to take portions of my hair, like diagonal portions, and kind of go back and forth, brush styling it backwards. But she directs her, or she does hers more in half. I'm going to kind of follow that routine, but not entirely at all. I have to do some serious wetting of my hair though, because like my ends were completely dried out. And so let's just get this wetted down a little bit more. I'm going to put enough water in it. I feel like if I have to take some of it out to be more even with the rest of the hair, I can do that, but just by blotting it on my t-shirt towel once again. This top section I find tends to get the stringiest easiest when it's not wet enough, but I think I am going to go in and just dab out just a little bit of that. I'm just gently running the towel over my hair, not taking out much. And you can see here it's still clumping very well. So I think we're in good shape for that. Now to apply the gel, I'm going to apply this all in one section. I'm not going to separate this out because while I will be brushing my hair back, I'm going to do that for the majority of it. What I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to get at, is I am not going to do a part for my hair. I don't, and I debated about doing that. I can, but I just don't, it's not how my hair likes to lay anymore these days. I've been so long not doing a part, and I think we're just going to stick with that. So I like to use my little bounce curl at the end of the brush just to kind of separate my, or part my section a little bit. You can do it with your pinky finger or maybe another finger, but I struggle with parting my hair anyways, and the bounce curl brush just helps me out in that. So this is what we are going to be doing. I might have to take part of this in half because my sections are kind of large. This is another reason why I like to do that kind of diagonal pattern of brushing my hair backwards, is because then I can get smaller sections with that. But I'm basically essentially doing kind of the same thing, just in smaller sections. Now at this point, I think this is where she would normally do that parting of the front, and how she styles the rest of this forward. I'm still going to style some of this backwards. I'm only going to save a very small section in the front to style forward. That's not something I typically do anyways, but for the sake of this video, I will. All right, my hair's kind of wanting to do some wonky sectioning. All right, this front bit, I am just going to spray down with a little bit more water because she is already drying out. It's sad, but she's already drying out. All right, this is the part that I'm just going to brush down for. And she brushes her hair, or the front section, she takes her hair around the brush handle. I find that counterintuitive if she's gonna break it up. But that's how she likes to do it. My curls naturally separate pretty well without doing that. Like this one, okay. Now that I say that, they naturally separate. I don't find that I need to brush style the front of them. This is typically my curliest section, my tightest spiral section. And I assume it's going to be that way for this routine as well. I got a big curl chunk here. We are going to kind of separate that. Let's find out what she does for this last portion before we go on to diffusing the hair.
So this is a little tip if you struggle with the line showing from sectioning. You can kind of put your hands underneath and fluff out the roots. This is going to help lift the hair up off the scalp, give you a lot more volume, and prevent any of those scalp lines from showing. For step number 6, we're going to microplop. So this step is quick, but it's also essential if you have a lot of water in your hair still, especially if you plan to air dry. So microplopping is simply scrunching your hair with a hair towel, which then absorbs excess water and creates added definition and shrinkage. So water is heavy and it will weigh down your curls if you're air drying it because of gravity. If you're diffusing, it will take forever if you don't get that excess water out first, especially if you did style soaking wet. If any frizz forms after scrunching, simply glaze in a little bit of gel to tame it. This will give you so much extra hold too, since you're applying gel to hair that is starting to dry. We're almost finished, but stay tuned for one last step after this that will help you if you still get a ton of frizz after diffusing.
Okay, so we are just going to kind of go in and loosen up hair around the scalp area. I do find it sticks, especially up at the, well, it sticks all over a lot of times for me. So I'm just kind of gently reaching my fingers in there and trying to lift some. Some areas I'm shaking where I can easily get in, and some areas I am not. This area keeps wanting to fall in my face. I'm just getting a finger in there at this point and just kind of loosening that up a little bit. Now at this point, if you know me at all, you know that I like to go in and wet plop. I just find that that helps my curls absorb the product, keep that moisture yet, and like absorb the product. I'm not a big person to micro plop. I don't like to do that. I feel like it takes, ooh, I sprayed off my towel. I feel like it takes the moisture out that I like before diffusing. So, but we're gonna do it, okay? We're gonna do it. At this point, she did spray her towel. And just going to get both sides, and then I am going to go in and add a little bit more gel. I don't really see any frizz forming at this point. My curl clumps do look fairly small, which is good for volume, but it can also lead to stringy curls. But we're going to go in with a little bit more of this gel and then some water in the hands. Rub that together, glaze that over, and then I'm going to go straight into diffusing, okay? We're not going to have much of a talk about this after this point until I go to diffuse. We're just going to go straight into diffusing in just a minute. All right, at this point, I am drying my hands off. I will see you guys in just a bit after my hair's diffused.
So now for the root volume hack. This is completely optional, but adding a hairspray can really help if you're someone who struggles to get hold, or if your hair just feels too soft and won't hold any volume. So the Curlsmith Flawless Finish Flexible Hold Hairspray gives a firm hold, but it allows you to have more movement and flexibility in your curls. It still gives you that grit and texture though. Just look at the difference where I just sprayed it and then kind of fluffed it up. So now I'm spraying the other side. You just want to lift the hair up at the root, give it a little spritz, and then use your your hands to fluff up the roots. You'll notice that you can feel more texture on your hair and more grit that will help to hold that volume up longer, so that way it doesn't just fall. You can also just mist your hair overall if you do want to create more hold, or if you're seeing some frizz, or maybe used a very light hold gel. This is going to give you more hold overall.
Hey curl friends, Editing Jody here. I did just want to say that this next clip that you're going to see, I kind of come in mid-conversation. I'm not sure what was going on, what was going through my head, but I had just finished showing the part where Gena Marie is hairspraying her hair. And what I meant to say, or what I was starting to say mid-conversation that you're going to see here, is that I had the Curlsmith more firm hold hairspray. I don't remember the exact definition or title of it, but I had that before. I'd used it. I enjoyed it, but I thought it was very similar to my TRESemme extra hold hairspray, and this is just cheaper. So that is what I'm coming in with, kind of mid-conversation. I apologize. So let's continue on with the rest of this, because this video is going to be pretty long anyways. In my opinion, it does all that the Curlsmith one does, and even a little bit more for a better price. So that's my preference to use, but I am going to go in with this Verb Ghost hairspray, because I feel like this is probably a little bit more comparable to the Curlsmith one. I do like this one, but for the price point, it's just not one that I'm going to repurchase, because like I said, I like my TRESemme one so much better, and it is a little bit stronger hold, the TRESemme one. This one is a little bit lighter. So that's why I'm going to go in with this one, because it's more comparable, I feel like, to what Gena Marie does. Now what she does is she just picks up some of her hair and hairsprays. If you know me, I like to flip upside down in hairspray sections. Like I like to lift the sections and kind of get in there, and then do the bottom and then do the top. What should I do? I wish you guys were here in real time. I know what I would like to do, but I think for the sake of this video, what I'm going to do is what she does. We're just going to take this side here, and we're just going to see if this gives anything this way. We're going. Some people can get away with a flexible hold better than others. I kind of have what you would call silky roots, but there is definitely some lift. There is definitely some lift there. I think I could get a lot more long lasting by using a stronger hold one though, like my TRESemme. All right, I'm just going to do this all over. I find hairspray sometimes helps with these frizzy sections too. I'm not going to like really rough them up. I'm not going to twirl them. I'm just going to gently kind of smooth over that area, and hope it doesn't look like that in the long term. I do find this Verb one is very perfumed. I don't like that, but I mean, most hairsprays have a perfume to it, but this one's a bit excessive. Lifting once again, getting in all these areas. I'm going to do this in the back, and then I'm just going to hairspray all over, like the ends as well. I don't want to miss out on those. It does give a little bit of grit and texture, which I love. Ideally, I'd like to go under here, under the nape of my neck, and do that as well. And then later on in the video, she does take root clips up here and kind of hold those together. I only have one. It's been on my list to purchase some more, but I only have one at this point, and I don't know. Should I do it, guys? Here's another point. Can you weigh in? Should I do the root clip? We're gonna do the root clip just for the sake of this video. Let me go get it. Okay, so I have this extremely old hair clippy. It's not even technically what you would consider root clips, I don't think, but we're gonna have to make this work. I've had this about 20 years probably. I'm surprised the little spring hasn't broke on it, but we're just going to, I don't have an official part here, but I kind of have this area where my hair is naturally falling, and we're just gonna kind of marry those two sections together, look a little weird, and we're gonna hairspray. I actually don't even think I showed this part of the video, so let me go ahead and show this. While this is setting here, I'm going to show what she did for her root clipping.
Another root volume hack is you can take some claw clips. These are just some roller jaw clamps, and I place about 2 of them along the top of my part, and then I mist a little bit of hairspray. Then you can just let that sit, or you could finish by diffusing, or you could finish with air drying. After they set for a little bit, then take them out carefully and just look at how much more volume. That really helps to amp up the volume, especially if your hair is still kind of warm when you put them in. Then once it sets and cools off, it will stay up in that position.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let this sit a little bit more because I'm going to hairspray a little bit more. I'm gonna get the underside over here. She doesn't get the underside, okay? But I don't think this section should be forgotten here. Okay, let's take out this root clip. I see right now initially some more hold or some more volume. Okay, I think that actually did help some. I think that did help some. I don't see that as being the root clip being like a long-term solution for volume. I think that will fall on its own naturally. And even with me, when I use hairspray, I have to go back in usually another point during the day. Like I'll put it in initially when I do my hair in the morning, and then usually midway through the day, before maybe if I'm going out in the evening, I'll put in some more or something like that. So it's not uncommon for me to apply hairspray more than once during the day. I'm going to fluff this a little bit more, and then I'm going to show you the back of the hair. Now that I did that root clip there though, I do feel like it's giving some frizz. So we're going to flip the part over a little bit. I do feel like the hairspray also has helped so that my hair isn't falling in my face so much. That was really annoying. But like I said, I'm going to show you the back of my hair. All right, so let me know what you think of these results. Do you think I have more volume than what I normally get? And also let me know about what you think of the definition. I personally think the volume is moderate. I'm not like wowed by the volume. And my definition, this is one of those things, since it is cold when I'm filming this, it's still winter time pretty much when I'm filming it, getting towards the latter half of winter. But my hair is just not doing the spiral pattern as often. It'll do it like initially after I do a protein treatment, but after that, it just, the volume or the definition just isn't as tight of a spiral pattern. But in the same sense, I am doing this in a very similar time to when Gena Marie did hers. She did hers at the beginning of February. I'm doing mine at the end of February. So I've gotten better definition, I want to say. Overall, I feel like I've gotten better definition. And I think there is a fine point for when I brush style a product in, like the two gels, and when I just glaze it over. I think personally for my hair, I could have gotten better definition if I just brush styled the first two products, or the first set of products in. I'm thinking like the leave-in cream, the mousse, and the curl retainer. And then I feel like I personally could have gotten better results if I just glazed over the Aqua gel. Sometimes when I brush style all the products in, it does suck up some of the, my curls just get, like this isn't stringy, but they're just not as clumped and as curly as I would like to say, or as I would like to see. So that's just my personal opinion. Another thing that I think really helps my curls, I've said this before, is doing the wet plot method, where I just let my hair sit up under a disposable shower cap and my regular shower cap. It sits up under that for about 10-15 minutes, and my hair, I feel like, just absorbs the product better, and it also gives my roots some lift. Even though they're still kind of wet, they're pretty wet actually, I just feel like my hair responds better to that. So the whole thing with curly hair is, I would say, just play around with different routines, find what works best for you. It has been trial and error for me over the course of 4+ years doing this channel, but I've worn my hair curly almost all my life. So there's really, like, I've been experimenting a long time. It's just my experimentation has heightened considerably since starting this channel. And I have found methods that work for me over the course of time, and they may change in the future based on how my hair changes, based on what's in style, you know, just different things like that, or they may stay the same for quite some time. It's all up to what the hair likes best. So like I said, let me know what you thought of this routine in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And until I see you again in the next video, have a great day. Bye.